So I've just grown tired of feeling like this isn't something we should talk about because silence just perpetuates the cycle. Maybe 10 years ago you could have still gotten away with saying, oh, I don't really like being political. Mostly because things weren't as blatantly bad as they are today. And I say blatantly because they were still pretty bad back then, but they were just doing a better job of keeping things under the rug. But really, it's no joke. If you're still a fence sitter at this point, you're basically on the side of evil. And just like the saying goes, all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. And there has never been an easier time in our lives to just sit here and do nothing. Calling it evil sounds dramatic, but it really is just what it is. We got the Avengers of Oppression working overtime here. And I think people forget that people have the power. We've just been conditioned to willingly give up our ability to fight because of convenience, hyper-individualism, or just having things seem hopeless, like there's no point in trying anyways. I think people are starting to realize, but just to reinforce the facts, this whole system is designed to crush your hope and make it seem like giving up or not caring is the best or most convenient path. The system we're living in isn't flawed. It's working exactly as intended. Capitalism is just really good at marketing itself as not the problem. I mean, it would make sense because capitalism, I'm pretty sure, didn't invent marketing, but definitely perfected it. This involves basically everything we've been seeing in the modern era. Just think about it. The rise of hustle culture to fuel people grinding away their lives for the rich and glorifying it. Social media being scientifically engineered to keep you hooked despite knowing how bad it is for you. The manufactured culture wars that we've been fighting this whole time to keep us distracted from the fact that it's been a class war this whole time. We need class solidarity. But in general, I think we just need to come together. The ultra-rich want us to continue fighting amongst ourselves because it lets them continue doing what they're doing. Okay, think about it. I mean, recently, right? They've been trying to paint drag queens and trans people as villains so hard. When you look at the files, how many of them are actually in there listed as predators? Versus the amount of conservative old rich dudes. Like, why do you think they spend so much time and resources dividing us? Because they know if just a fraction of us were unified, it would be over for them. So why care? With so much to care about, why would people be apathetic? It's a paradoxical question because the resources in our head are also finite. I mean, just like willpower, empathy has its limits. And I know because I've been there before too. Ignorance really is bliss. You can ignore the injustices of the world, the genocides, the pedophilia, the racism, and everything else that isn't pleasant. But ignoring these things is a privilege not a lot of people can afford. I mean, it makes the world seem better, but if you ignore mold in your house, it doesn't make it go away, it just lets it grow out of control. So the pandemic changed me. Before I talk about this, I just want to go on a little tangent. But I would get so annoyed when people would talk about the pandemic and then say it's a global pandemic because it's redundant. Epidemic is within a few countries or states. And pandemic, with the root word pan meaning all, is global. So it's like saying chai tea, a difficult dilemma, or a corrupt politician. You keep saying, you're repeating the same thing, you know what I mean? Anyways, back during the pandemic, I was feeling a lot of things because of people not giving a shit about others, the Black Lives Matter movement, the Asian hate, and just all the turmoil that this caused in personal relationships that I no longer have. So back when this was happening, I was still living in Guam. And one of the pros of being in Guam is when things like this happen in the States, it doesn't really affect people in Guam as much. Definitely there are people who stay up to date and keep up with this stuff and are aware and try to spread awareness about it. But for the most part, a lot of the general populace will not really do that. They'll just be minding their business. And this leads to a lot of ignorance, whether it's willing or unwilling. But losing so many people I thought would be with me for life because of them going mask off, pun intended by the way, it sucked and it hurt a lot. I was much more of a people pleaser back then, so it was difficult to confront people I was close to about things that I thought would be common sense, like social distancing, masking, caring about human rights. But I did it anyways, because there was a voice inside me that was screaming to speak my mind. Because I knew that people that couldn't hold space for others in the most basic ways could not be my people. It came to a point where I didn't want to do it anymore because it was so mentally and emotionally taxing. I wanted to just ignore all these red flags for the sake of maintaining peace and maintaining whatever relationships would have been strained or just gone from these confrontations. But I realized the hard way this was worse than speaking my mind. If me caring too much and using up all my empathy was me burning out, then me not saying anything and holding it in was me imploding. I was gonna get crushed either way. But I figured there had to be something I could do to stay sane. It was so simple. Just take a break. Take a mental health walk. A mental health day. Do something to get moving. There's a good quote about move a muscle, move a thought. I'll put it here if I can find it. But talk to your loved ones or whoever you deem is safe. Make some art, play a game, have some fun and joy. In my head, it felt like I couldn't stop caring about these things even for a second. Because I felt like if I stopped caring for even just a little bit, Or if I wasn't putting all my focus on it, it would make me a bad person, or it would somehow make the problem overall worse. But we're all just individuals and we all have our limits. That's why these movements and events are carried on by communities. Because when someone needs a break, someone can come in and take their place. Kind of like morning shift leaving for swing shift to come in. So I know I mentioned before that this channel is mainly for my creative stuff, but also just an outlet for me to use my voice. So I was a little worried about making this video because politics in general are so hard to talk about, even if you're not really mentioning anything specific. It's ironic because that's precisely why I wanted to make this video and talk about it anyway. It's so easy these days for people to misconstrue what you mean to say, that it's basically almost a guarantee anytime you put yourself out there. And you know, especially with AI nowadays, and it's just getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what isn't on a first glance, it's so easy to just take some inflammatory statement and just run off with it, because if something resonates with you like that, there's a pretty good chance that people will be less likely to be fact-checking something, especially if they already have personal biases towards it. It's also easier just to stay silent and not care. Apathy is easier. Pretending you don't care is easier. But fast food is also easier than cooking. Doesn't mean it's healthy. I don't want to live life being numb to everything happening around me. And I don't want to live in a world where people are encouraged not to care. I mean, people need to remember that we're not alone in caring for these things. So we shouldn't burn ourselves out trying to shoulder it all. We need sustainable empathy. Because like I mentioned earlier, it's a resource. And you got to be wise with your resources, or you'll use them all up and you'll be fucked. We can care in ways that let us rest, let us lean on each other, and take turns carrying that weight. Because as humans, we didn't reach the top of the food chain in isolation. We did that shit together. It was a group project ruining this planet, you know what I mean? But that just means it's also a group project to fix it. And there's gonna be a lot of people who are used to being the ones doing all the work in the group project, but we gotta do our best to pull together the people who are not doing their part, because this isn't high school and that's not gonna cut it for this group project in particular. But bottom line, I think choosing to care, even if it's in an imperfect way, is one of the most powerful things we can do. So find communities for your causes, talk to your loved ones, make art about it, help people in need. Even just help people like who you can have an immediate and direct impact with, like your neighbors or like your family members. All that stuff adds up. But just remember, do what you can when you can, and remember there's more than one way to show up. I've been going to protests, but I realize that's not the only way to support movements, so I'm also trying to make art for it just to increase awareness and just kind of get the message across, but also like boosting signals for events, groups, and just things happening that people should be aware of, especially since a lot of media is controlled these days. And on top of that, just anything small I can do, like help feed people around me, or just even donating to good causes. By the way, it sucks, but these days you really do gotta verify if the source you're donating to is a good cause, because sometimes people will be pocketing that money. But yeah, I hope this video was cohesive enough. I wanted to put some extra care into this video because it was something important to me in general, and it's been kind of weighing on me. So something I wanted to talk about, it just felt like it should be handled with care. I do feel like I'll be doing more videos like this in the future. I can't say it will be the only type of content on the channel because, like I said earlier, it's creative stuff and an outlet. But I hope this helps someone out there. I hope this resonates with someone. If it does, you know, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and take care of yourself, because you can't take care of others if you're not taken care of.